everyone, welcome to an all-new edition of Eye to Eye, Kansas City. We have an action-packed day here on this program today. You never heard me say this until now on this program. We have an action-packed day, which we'll get to some of the explanation in that coming up ahead. I can tell you we have some breaking news on our front here at Eye to Eye, Kansas City, and it's not any good breaking news. And our future is uncertain here at Eye to Eye, Kansas City. So we'll kind of continue that conversation here just a little bit later. And as well, I'll have my commentary on the second presidential inauguration of President Barack Obama. Barack Hussein Obama. We'll take a look at that. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up as well. And of course, we'll have the top stories from our partners from the Associated Press with News Minute. And of course, I'll have an interview with my good friend and worker of the community, with Miss E, as she's like to be called, Miss E, the Power Broker. And she has an event that is coming up on February the 7th. So we'll talk with her and you get to hear that interview. She's a fun and delightful person to be around. So stick around for that. And of course, we'll talk more on the efforts of a proposed voter ID bill that might be coming soon to law. And we'll have a little bit more on this show today here on Eye to Eye, Kansas City. But first, let's take a look at our news and commentary here in Kansas City. So speaking about that voter ID law, Republican lawmakers have looked into getting a voter ID law to be put in place. And while that might not be such a great idea for those who cannot obtain voter ID, first question I have, are these Republican lawmakers going to put a provision in there that is going to help citizens that do not have ID or cannot get into access of an ID and want to vote, help them get an ID and to encourage them to vote? And as well, will that be something that is going to help them, is going to help their get back in the political race or whatever? I don't know. But like I've said on this program, these voter ID laws is nothing good for them. During the presidential race in 2012, there's been a lot of drive to suppress the vote with these voter ID laws. And that's what I think what they do with most of these laws. These laws do not help us, do not help the people. They discourage and disenfranchise the vote, and we cannot continue to disfranchise the vote. We need to encourage people to vote. We need to encourage young, old, middle class, upper class. Well, we have a lot to say on upper class right now, so I'm just going to narrow it down to just all people that are able-bodied to go vote. Don't sit up on your butt and let another election be wasted and cheated. That's what has happened in years past. We cannot continue the same old status quo things anymore. And as well, folks, I want to kind of turn to a breaking news story here on Eye to Eye, Kansas City. We're going to do this very soon, so that way we can. Some people in our control room is already tearing up because they already know what I'm about to say. I've had to break them the bad news, as well as I'm going to do it here right now. So floor people, if you got to cry, I want you to excuse yourself so that way you can get it together. I'll do the show by myself if that's what I got to take to do it. All right. 4, 3, 2, 1. I didn't want to give this bad news. But we got some bad news here on EYETOEYE Kansas City. And the future of EYETOEYE Kansas City will be ending. We won't have a future in 2014, 15, 16. We will be ending our run, our show, on May the 6th of this year. Some of you might have heard of some potential dates. That's what I put on Facebook. We didn't know if that was going to be certain, but it was the best of both our parent company, Clarion Broadcasting, and my company, Galvin Be Limited, to end this program because of we need a change of direction, and this show doesn't provide a change of direction and doesn't provide a change for the better for us. I'm going to miss coming on the air and all that, which we'll talk a little bit more on the final show, so stay tuned. On May the 6th we'll have that available on May the 6th, our final show, so stay tuned for that. A light rail proposal from Clay Chastain has been denied. That's right, it's been denied. A judge has deemed let me start this over. A judge has deemed that Clay Chastain's plan is not necessary and that the city doesn't have to go through with it. Once again, the same old. This dummy has had this said to him so many times, I can't even count it. And I don't mean to be funny. But if a judge has told you not once, but a gazillion times, I'm just over exaggerating, but I'm just telling you, it's been so many times for a factual thing. That this man has asked for a light rail to come in Kansas City. Come and do this. Come and do that. We need to do light rail. We need to do my plan. No, we don't need to do your plan, Clay. Just take your butt home and stop popping up every 5 years to do your plan. Come on now. Come on and stop acting crazy. So that's Clay Chastain to me is what we like to call irrelevant in my book. Alright, we've just gotten news that the city of Kansas City, Missouri, in the city council is planning to work a deal with the owners of Camper Arena to have it demolished and build a new center for the American Royal, for the Camper family. Well, I'm going to say this. The Camper family needs to finance every single dime if they want to demolish Camper Arena. It should come from the taxpayers' money. It shouldn't come at the taxpayers' expense at any time, at any cost. No. It shouldn't happen. The Camper family needs to figure out a different plan, or either stick it up and try to use Camper Arena, or don't use it at all. Now, AEG Live used to manage Camper Arena, but moved to the Sprint Center once it was built to manage it, which another company has took over AEG Live, so forth. So, to me, I don't think the taxpayers should be paying for a project that isn't all for the taxpayers' use all the time. I don't use Camper American Royal. I don't go down for the barbecue. If I want barbecue, go to Gays, go to Big T's, and be through with it. But that's just me. But don't nobody want to pay for no Gates prices though. So you just go. Here's my little secret. Just to lighten up this show a little bit. I want to lighten up the mood a little bit. This is what I do when I want barbecue. I know this is kind of irrelevant, but well, I see that we are in a dire mood today, and I want to take a little bit of our time to do so. take a little bit of our time to kind of chillax a little bit. Anytime I go to the Big T's barbecue, you know, they serve that little runny sauce. And anytime you get that little runny sauce, it don't look, it tastes good, but it just, I mean, it's kind of, it's, So what you do, you go to Big T's, get your little combo plate for 16 something or 19, well, I forgot how much it is, because I ain't been there in a minute. You go get your plate, get your combo, then you go to Gates. I mean, you go to the grocery store, pick you up a thing of Gates. If you are here in Kansas City, go get you a sauce of Gates of your choice. Put that Gates sauce on it. Voila! That's been the secret all along. I'm just kidding, ladies and gentlemen. But I ain't kidding on the Gates barbecue sauce and getting a Big T's. I know some of y'all been and said something that you don't need to say on TV. All right, let's kind of wrap this thing up with a look of our top stories from our partners from the Associated Press, and we will return after this.
This is AP News Minute. Disgraced cyclist Lance Armstrong says blood doping and transfusions were designed to build strength and endurance. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey, Armstrong admitted doping and bullying people who exposed him. The body of a poisoned lottery winner will be exhumed from a Chicago cemetery Friday. Rouge Khan died in July as he was about to collect $425,000 in lottery winnings. Authorities are hoping that an autopsy today will produce more evidence. The British government is warning that the nation should be prepared for bad news about a hostage crisis in Algeria. Algerian forces on Thursday stormed a gas plant where an al-Qaeda offshoot was holding dozens of foreigners. Some escaped, some were killed, and some are still being held. Sarasota, a Gulf Coast city of more than 50,000 full-time residents, is known for its art scene and nearby beautiful beaches. But some homeless and the American Civil Liberties Union say authorities are trying to harass the homeless into leaving town.
For some trucks, a V6 is plenty. This isn't some truck. This is the 2013 V8 GMC Sierra with maximum power and maximum fuel economy. When you refuse to compromise, that's professional grade. Get 0% financing for 60 months, plus current GMC owners trade up to this specially equipped Sierra and use your package discount for a total value of $4,000. Or choose to trade up with customer cash and your package discount for a total value of $8,000.
Welcome back, everyone, here on EYETOEYE Kansas City. All right. The time is near for our last story in our interview with Miss E, the Power Broker, aka Roach Ellington. All right, I'm gonna tell you. This is my commentary for the presidential inauguration. It was powerful. President Barack Obama's speech was what I would like. I just can't come up with words with this one. I did come up with the words. We wasn't even on the show. We wasn't even on the air in 2008 with his with the first inauguration. But this second one, I'm so honored that we're on the air to capture that moment. His speech, I just came up with the words. It's what we like to be inspired. We like to get some things moving, and he has given us those things in his speech. And as people, we should be taking those words that he said and actually doing something with them. Improve our own selves, whether you're black, yellow, brown, orange, white, indigo, gold, what have you. And we need to be ambitious with our own lives. We need to be about the business of moving about, and be about the business of going about our business. Help our society to grow and help our society to be a little bit more better each day. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to turn to introducing you to Miss E, the power broker. You've seen her on this program. You've heard her voice on our program. And she has an event to share with you and a few things about domestic violence. So we're going to turn you over to that right now. You've heard your news and commentary and the top stories from our partners from the Associated Press. But now I'm joined here with our great friends of the show, Miss E, the Power Broker. She's the co-founder of Voices of the People, and also she's the mother of State Representative from the 22nd District, Brandon Ellington. She came to us about an event that is coming up on February the 9th, and it talks about domestic violence. So she's going to elaborate a little bit on that and have some have a backbone story in the statistics in domestic violence.
Hi, I'm Miss E, the power broker, and I thank you, Calvin, for having me on Eye to Eye. It's an honor, and it's really a pleasure to be able to bring our topic of domestic violence up front. On February the 9th, as you spoke, GYRL, which is Giving Yourself Real Love, presents Hands Off Domestic Violence and Violence as a Whole. We felt that this forum was needed because it addresses and brings faces to this issue that is normally swept away. Over the last month, within the last week, to be precise, we have received information on several incidents that were fatal. A young lady in St. Louis was shot in the head, 26 years old, by the father of her child. And, and she had put out an order of protection, and that wasn't enough. We have to address these issues. Just the other day in Kansas City alone, 28-year-old man was accused of raping, molesting, and sodomizing a 4-year-old girl. We have to address these issues, and we have to put faces on there. So this forum is unique in its whole because we're bringing men to the table for the first hour that are either convicted of abuse or currently doing abuse or reformed abusers. And so we want to hear their story. Then we want to hear the women's story, the other side of the story. But domestic violence and violence isn't just between men and women. It's from the same sex, we're finding out now. It was a lady that's being convicted, I think she's 28 years old, convicted of running a prostitution against women. And some of the things that she did to them was horrendous. So we're talking about violence across the table that affects the community.
And kind of elaborate on this a little bit on the domestic violence side. We'll get to the event in just a minute, just to let people know the time and the location and everything. But why do you think domestic violence is a big issue to deal with?
Because of what it does, the effects that it has on a person, not only psychologically, but physically and mentally. It's a known fact that when you abuse, it's like a hidden taboo, but you think it's a hidden taboo, but your children and the people that are in the household suffer for it, and it may not come until later on in the years. As a young lady, when she starts dating, it may show out. A young man, when he starts maturing or going through puberty, it may show out. Or when you start having your own families, unless you learn to break that cycle, it repeats itself. So when you talk about what part does it play, it is society. It is the function, of how we conduct ourselves. The murder rates are up. The abuse and the criminal aspect is up. And domestic violence is equal to me, is equal to slavery.
And you bring up a great point about a cycle, because some of these young men pick up a cycle of pretty much they learn what they see, and they see what they learn. And when they go out and have their little relationships as they grow into young men, a great portion of that is just taking that with them, what they have learned.
Well, we learn by what we see and repeat what we do. History teaches us that. But when one of the greatest things that we hear all the time, why would you stay in this situation? Why would you stay with somebody that is beating you? Why won't you leave? A person that's not in that situation clearly has all the answers. But a person that is in that situation, they don't have the answers. They may have been beaten so far down that they don't see how to get up. And what does it do to a child to see his mother beat? And what does he start thinking? Does he start thinking something's wrong with his mother, for accepting this type of behavior? What does the girl think? Well, does my daddy love me because he beats me? It's all sort of things that go on. So I talked to one of the men, and he told me, he says, one time I see my mother get beat so bad, and I jumped in the middle of it between her and my dad, and my mother told me, get the hell away. Leave him alone. Leave my husband alone. Leave him alone. And so he started thinking, well, my mama might like this. And so he said, as he grew up, he started beating his girlfriends. And he found out that his girlfriends enjoyed it, and they fed off of each other. And he said until the day that he absolutely busted his wife's eardrum and the side of her face was swollen up, did he realize it was an issue. And he said that she stabbed him, but it was an issue. They fed off of each other. And that's what I'm finding out now, that sometimes we feed off of each other. And we allow that to happen because it's a known feeling to us. So we go to someone that says, hey, he beats me, he loves me. Because that's what I see my mother go through. That's what I see my father go through. So and they love me. So if he's beating me, then it means he loves me.
Now, what advice, and this is my personal question I like to ask. Now, what advice would you have for young girls or young men in this fact, because we can see it's from both sexes in this case with domestic violence and abusive relationships in that matter. What advice would you have for young people that are going through, especially young ladies that don't know to get out of that cycle, to run away or whatever,
It's a sad cycle. I know for myself, self-experience, when I was in school, when I was younger in school, just a couple of years ago, I experienced that, that I started dating a guy that was abusive. And I thought, okay, I was angry within myself, and I didn't realize how angry I was because I watched my father and my mother fight. And so, but I knew that if somebody put their hands up to me, I wasn't going to take it like what I've seen. It was going to be another side of that. I was going to fight. I was not just going to get hit without fighting. So what did I do? I gravitated to someone that had the same tendencies of what I've seen. So he allowed me to act out. He allowed me to be dysfunctional because with him, I could be crazy. But to society, I had to be whole. So something was wrong with me. When you self-love yourself, you don't abuse yourself. It's just like if you ever try to inflict an injury to yourself, it is consciously, you cannot do that. Consciously, you cannot just take your arm and break it because something inside of you says, this is not going to happen. So when a person self-inflicts injury to themselves, whether it be a relationship or any type of injury, something's wrong with yourself. So what would I tell young women? Check yourself. Start loving yourself. Because when you love yourself, everything else has to love you the same way. It has to. It has to fall into place. And if a man is beating a woman, he's not a man. He should walk away. I have an A-type personality. Does that mean I can get with somebody with an A-type personality? No. I have to go with somebody with a B-type personality. I have to go to somebody that doesn't react to my actions. So we have to find somebody, not the opposite, but clearly does not have the same type of explosive personality or emotional type of attitude that you may have. So for me, I don't find myself attracted to men that are abusive in any way, whether he raises his voice or his actions. That's my type of person that I'm not attracted to. But am I that type of person that does the opposite? No, I'm not the type of person that will raise my voice, hit someone, or do that. I believe my hands should stay where they're at. I don't believe that my hands belongs on another person. So I expect that from another person, yeah.
Because when I get mad, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get up and walk away. I'm gonna share what I need to say. Trust and believe that.
Well, we
But,
are going to say.
I mean, right.
We are going to say, but the problem comes because I believe we can have conflict. We can have arguments. I mean, we're human. But when the aspect comes, and sometimes verbal abuse is just as wrong as physical abuse, because with verbal abuse, you don't have the bandages that can cover it up. You take it deeper into your being, so it stays with you. Verbal abuse, when you tell somebody, when you abuse them, and all of that, it stays with you. So abuse on any aspect is wrong, because many times we don't see the effect that it has on our children, and I think that's where it festers and it continues to grow. Now, I don't know where all of this violence has come from, but we are living in a society now that is very quick to react without thinking. So that tells me, just me alone, that somewhere along the picture we don't have a spiritual background. I mean, that tells us that somewhere along the line we have left God out of our whole life being. Because if we did, we would realize that paradise sits at the foot of the mother of the woman. The woman would learn to conduct herself in a manner that is respectful and honorable. Not to say that she doesn't deserve that she deserves to get hit if she acts other. But once we know who we are, and we know that we need help in some fashion, and it's not an embarrassment, it's a mission to save our lives and our children's life and those that come after them.
All right. But go ahead.
Because it's a sad thing. When we talk about domestic violence, it's a really 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 sad thing, and not only sad. Right now so many young women are losing their lives, and it's sad. It's sad because now the father of these children are killing their mothers. Never in the history of, so as far as I can recall, black men killing black women the way that they're killing them. I mean, young women. And it doesn't have an age, because now they're 40, 30, 20 teenagers, 50, 60. I mean, we can't put a grip on it. We can't say, well, this person is acting up because they're going through preteen. This person is acting up because they're going through menopause. You know what I'm saying? It's across the board now. Yeah.
All right. Now I'm going to try to transition it on, because all this is powerful stuff. But people have to know what is going on, and people have to understand that domestic violence is a serious issue. It connects to how our community is operated, how our society is operating.
And another thing, it has to start at home. It has to start with home, because I find it very hard to believe that a mother raising a son does not know he has a tendency to be violent, because the first person that he sees, or the first example he sees as a woman, is his mother. So if he's out striking other women, 9 times out of 10 he does struck or disrespected his mother in some manner of fashion. So we as mothers have to pick it up. We have to turn in our children, our sons, our daughters, when they have become the abusers, and seek the help that they need. If we know our children are killers, we have to turn them in. It's no protecting them. And as a mother, as a single mother, if I ever see my son put his hands on his wife, girlfriend, fiance, I'm going to address that. It's not going to happen in my house. It's not going to happen outside my house. I'm going to advise her to leave him, because he has a problem, and there's nothing she can do to stop it. It's nothing she can do. My parents, when they used to fight, I used to get so upset because I love my daddy and I love my mother. And my father, he loved us. And as I got older, I started questioning, I thought my mother was the person that was making my daddy angry, mad, to hit her, because she would talk a lot, run her mouth. But then as I got older, I found out that the person that is looking for their victim, that's how they turn it around. They make you think that you're in the wrong and they're in the right, And I said, how could he love us so much, but then hurt the very person that birthed us? you're right. You should walk away. You should walk away. You should run away. And it's hard to do, but you should never let anyone push you to that point that you may end up doing seriously injury to that person. You know, that you may kill or maim them. Yeah, I would never want to go to jail for killing another person when I could have walked away.
And there's like a whole bunch of resources, ladies, that are dealing with domestic violence. We will have those posted on galvinbkc.weebly.com. Just click on links on our website, and we'll have those posted. But let's kind of transition on to this event that is coming up February 9th. It's called Hands Off Domestic Violence, if I'm correct on that. And as you kind of described, it will be about men talk about their perspective on domestic violence, either the abusers or are the ones that are getting abused in this case, because it's not just pointed at one particular gender now. It's a whole different spectrum. I would say something else, but it's a whole different kind of spectrum. So kind of tell us about that event, where it's at and where it's going to be and all that.
Hands off domestic violence. I'm so glad you brought that up. It's not about one gender, because we know we have same-sex partners now that's going through domestic violence. We have men on men, women on women. You know, men on women, women on men. It's wide. You know, this domestic violence. We're having it at Willis Chapel, AME, and it's at 5332 South Benton, Kansas City, Missouri. And it's going to be February the 9th from 2 to 5 p.m. It is a free event because we want the community to come. Donations are accepted, you know, and welcomed, you know. But it is sponsored by Voices of the People, GYRL, I Am Our Brother's Keeper, and State Representative Brandon Ellington. We are so excited that we are finally being able to talk about this openly, that people actually are willing to come out and say, I abuse. I'm proud of being an abuser. We actually had some men that says, hey, I like going upside this woman's head. My woman likes it. We want to understand why your woman likes it. And if your woman likes it, what effect is it having on your family, your friends, your children? Because where I come from, when we seen a man beating on a woman, we didn't just stand there. And I'm talking about, when I say we, I'm talking about the men. The men will step up and say, hey, that ain't right. But now, a woman told me that she was at an event and she got slapped twice really hard, and the men walked away. It's a problem. No man came to her defense while this man was slapping her in public. That's a problem. So that's why we're excited about this event, February the 9th, Hands Off Domestic Violence, because it's going to address and bring faces to the light of people that are abusers, have been abusers, or reformed abusers.
All right. Just to reiterate with you folks at home or at your offices or wherever you may watch us, even on the big screens at home. The event is February the 9th. It is a forum that is discussing all kinds of abuse, domestic abuse or violence, whatever you call it. It's going to be discussed February the 9th, Willis Chapel, 5332 South Benton in Kansas City, Missouri. Donations are welcomed, and it is free. But again, to reiterate with you, donations are welcomed and are graciously accepted. And I do thank you, Miss C, for joining us here on Eye to Eye Kansas City.
And I thank you for having me once again, for helping us get this message across and being upfront and saying, let's address this issue together, because we need the media to help us get this information out. We need you as a community to come out and support this initiative to say, we have to address this, because this is another aspect that's just a part of the pie that makes up the community. But it's a known fact that when the woman is injured, the home is broken.
And that wraps up our show for today, ladies and gentlemen. You can again, I'm going to reiterate with you that you can visit galvinbkc.weebly.com for those links, everything about our show. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.